First question people ask when they get to know that you read books is, what's your favorite book? And I don't do favorites, but I will take this opportunity to talk about Levin. I discovered the movies first. Actually, I'll just read my review that I wrote. Right review. This is Rosemary's Baby. This is supposed to be. Okay, shut up. The movie, one of my absolute favorites, is so incredibly faithful to the book. Guy's betrayal hurts. I'm so glad the movie ends a tiny bit earlier than the book, with just a hint of Rosemary's fate as Adrian's mum. Book has an argument between Stephen and Rosemary about the name. Rosemary wins. I wonder if Rosemary is supposed to be an anti-Mary name. Rosemary, Mary. This features the devil and the Christian vibes. Smart. Past me was smart. So Rosemary's Baby, what's happening here is, of course I won't spoil the plot for you. Who do you think I am? But what's happening here is gaslight girl boss situation against one lady. And I highly recommend watching the movie, by the way, because Mia plays her beautifully, and it's so beautiful just to look at, like old-timey movies, beautiful. Anyways, the book that has more impact is Stepford Wives. Stepford Wives. You have to remember these books were written in the 1960s. To write such feminist literature as a man in that day and age, wow. And these are like so small, tiny books. Like the impact is crazy. Anyways, Stepford Wives is now these books. I categorize these books as horror, and this is the most scariest genre of horror to me personally. As someone who has read a lot of Stephen King books and a lot of horror, one good thing about horror books and horror movies is you can shut it off and come back to your reality where everything is like okayer, I guess. But here, this is the type of horror that you don't get to walk away from, because this can happen to you, brother. This can happen to you. Like, the horror is how easily human beings get brainwashed. This is not even about men versus women. This is about how you can get indoctrinated, how you can get brainwashed, how you are so easily susceptible to ideas. That's what this is about. And we see it out and about in the world. And you would think the same thing that you think when you look at these organizations. Like, if people just stopped and thought that the other person is also a person and they also the basic stuff, what would have happened if I was born not as me but as them? That is the amount of common sense needed to snap out of it. But then guess what? People don't snap out of it. People proceed to do what they do. So Stepford Wives. Do you want me to give a little bit of a... I never do that. I never really give the... what happens, what's the plot, the summary, the vibes. The vibe is there is a town where you move, and I don't want to spoil it because it unfolds so beautifully, and I highly recommend this, so I don't want to spoil it actually. But the arguments are very interesting. Would you... it's kind of like this. Okay, I would not spoil the book, but your mom, right? So if your mom didn't have her job, her hobbies, her eccentricities, her whatever, maybe your mom gets headaches. Maybe your mom likes to take a nap in the afternoon, right? And your mom also cooks your food. She also does your laundry, everything, right? So if you had the chance, would you get rid of your mom's eccentricities, her hobbies? Because that would mean you can get your meals whenever, and your tea whenever, and your laundry done whenever. Or do you think your mom is a human being? Or do you think you should go thank her right now because she cooks your meals and gives you tea and, does your laundry? Which one is it? Which one is it? Let's see what the old me has written. Not even old me. This was last year, guys. Yeah, so I watched the movie first in this instance as well. And again, beautiful movies. So I already knew the end, actually, unfortunately. It wasn't very surprising, but still extremely sad. This is sad plus horror. That's the genre here. I do very much recommend reading this 2 minutes. Like, you guys don't need to read romances. You guys don't need to read fantasy fiction, romantasy, whatever. You don't need to read like the chick flicks, but you should read this shit. The question, I guess, it asks is, are your women, or would you rather have a robotic maid, sex slave, wifey? It's just sad. Like, if you say yes to that, and yeah, it's convenient. Like, if your mom didn't have the headaches, if she didn't have her hobbies, if she didn't have her like nap time in the afternoon, and if you wanted a tea in the afternoon, you would get it if she was not sleeping. You know what I'm saying? But then if you delete this person, or you replace it with like a robot who's a maid and who's like a perfect, who doesn't get headaches, who doesn't take naps, who is there just to serve you, right? But then you are getting rid of a human being with hopes and dreams and desires and feelings, And the saddest part here is, why would you delete them? Like, why would you get rid of them? Do they not deserve to be? Like, your mom's fault if you choose to delete them. Her fault was to actually birth you, by the way. Not that she exists. It's like, my fault is that I'm related to you, that I married you, that you would get rid of me and replace me with a robo or whatever. You could have just told me. And I would have left. So you would have gotten what you wanted, and I would be free to pursue my hopes, dreams, desires, blah blah blah. Just an idea. The foreshadowing as well. This is like a great lesson, honestly, to trust your gut, your intuition, because our main character does have, those gut feelings, but it's too late before you. Like, always trust your gut. It's a common thing between the Stepford wives and the Rosemary's Baby. The husband's charade of being a good husband, maximum amount of gaslighting, and it just makes you angry. Just letting them believe something else, letting them focus on their hobbies, letting them focus on future plans, knowing that they will never come true. Also, at the time of me reading, the case of Madame Giselle Bellicote had come to light, and same themes. Husband's betrayal. You must have heard about it. I don't wish to go into detail of all the horrific things that happened and all the grimy little details. It's an incredibly, incredibly horrible thing to have happened to that lady by her husband, who she gave her whole life to. Like, they had grandkids together. You cannot help but admire the lady, the things that she said. Shame must change sides. She chose to go for a public trial, so people's names would come out. And just looking at that list of 70-ish people, men, their professions, some of them had little kids, little girls. Quite interesting. But coming back to Madame Pellicotte, wow, yes. If an assault happens to you, how is it your fault? Why should you be ashamed?